Imagine losing your husband, being left to raise 2 daughters alone, and then having your in-laws spread lies about you in church, turning everyone against you. Most people would crumble under that pressure. But not her. She didn't just survive, she turned their world upside down, with one of the most brilliant acts of revenge I've ever heard. Stick around till the end, because the way she flipped the entire church against her in-laws will leave you speechless. And if you love stories where justice is served with a twist of brilliance, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I've got plenty more where this came from. I never thought my life would play out like a soap opera. I was a young woman, married, with 2 beautiful little girls. My husband, let's call him Mark, was the man I thought I'd spend forever with. We had dreams, plans, a home filled with laughter, or so I believed. But beneath that picture-perfect surface, there were cracks. Mark was charming, but distant. I brushed it off, telling myself he was stressed. That work was heavy. I was naive, hopeful, maybe even blind. And then the truth shattered me. Mark had been cheating. Not once, not twice, but for years. With a woman I thought was my friend. The betrayal was a knife to my chest, but the real pain came when he died suddenly, leaving me widowed, raising 2 daughters alone, and standing in front of a family that absolutely despised me. Instead of compassion, his parents and siblings treated me like I was the villain. At first, it was whispers. She must have pushed him away. She wasn't enough for him. Then it turned into open hostility. They started calling me a homewrecker, even though he was the one who cheated. They claimed I had driven him into the arms of another woman, that I was a terrible wife, an unfit mother. And the worst part, they didn't just keep this poison inside the family. Oh no, they spread it. They told friends, neighbors, and then they took it to the one place that mattered most to me, my church. Church had been my safe space. It was where my daughters sang in the children's choir, where I found strength after my husband's death. But suddenly, I was walking into service and feeling eyes pierce me like daggers. People who used to hug me now turned away. Mothers pulled their children closer when I walked by. The whispers followed me down the pews. She's the one. Poor Mark. He deserved better. Even my daughters felt it. My youngest, only 7, tugged at my hand one Sunday and whispered, "Mommy, why don't the other kids play with me anymore?" My heart broke. I tried to ignore it. I told myself to focus on my girls, to stay strong. But the harassment escalated. My in-laws started sending letters to church elders, spreading lies about me. They claimed I was sleeping around, that I was neglecting my children. One day, after service, my mother-in-law cornered me in the parking lot. She sneered and said, loud enough for others to hear, "You ruined my son's life. Now you'll ruin your daughter's too." That was the moment something inside me snapped. I realized fighting back with words wouldn't work. These people thrived on drama. They wanted me to react, to scream, to cry. But I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Instead, I decided to play smarter. I started keeping a binder. Actually, 3 binders. In them, I gathered every piece of evidence I could about Mark's affair. Screenshots of texts, emails, pictures of him with the other woman, receipts from hotels, even letters he had written to her. And then I waited. Weeks later, after another humiliating church service where whispers about me echoed louder than the choir, I finally struck. I walked into church earlier than usual, carrying the binders. Calm, composed, determined. The service ended. People gathered for coffee and gossip, the perfect setting. That's when I approached the church ladies. You know the type, the ones who love drama, who live for whispers and secrets. "Ladies," I said sweetly, placing the binders on the table. Since there's been so much confusion about my marriage, I thought I'd share the truth. They looked at me with suspicion, curiosity glinting in their eyes. One of them, Sister Margaret, raised an eyebrow. "What truth?" I opened the binder, turning it toward them. Inside were neatly organized tabs, each labeled texts, photos, receipts, letters. Their eyes widened. Gasps filled the room as they flipped through the evidence. Mark's love letters, hotel bookings, photos of him with his mistress. Every single detail. I didn't need to say a word. By the end of that week, the gossip chain had exploded. The same whispers that once painted me as a homewrecker now painted him as the liar, the cheater, the fraud. And my in-laws, they were suddenly silent. The same mother-in-law who had screamed at me in the parking lot now avoided eye contact. The siblings who called me names, they stopped coming to church altogether. One Sunday, Sister Margaret, who had been one of my harshest critics, approached me after service. She squeezed my hand and whispered, "I'm so sorry, dear. We were wrong about you." For the first time in months, I felt the weight lifting. The ultimate twist, my in-laws tried to deny everything at first. They claimed I had faked the evidence, but the binders were too detailed, too thorough. The handwriting was marks. The photos were undeniable. Eventually, their reputation crumbled. No one in church believed them anymore. They had gone from respected elders to bitter outcasts. And me, I walked into service with my head held high, my daughters at my side. People smiled at us again. The same church that had once turned its back on me now offered us kindness and support. Looking back, I could have lashed out, screamed, fought fire with fire. But revenge doesn't always need to be loud. Sometimes, the most powerful revenge is the truth, spoken at the right time, in the right way. I didn't just reclaim my dignity. I showed my daughters that strength doesn't come from cruelty, but from patience, intelligence, and courage. And my in-laws, to this day, they live in the shadow of their own lies. Every time they walk into town, they know people are whispering, not about me, but about them. So the next time someone tries to bury you with lies, remember this: let them dig their own grave. And when the time is right, hand them the shovel. And that, my friends, is how one woman turned heartbreak and betrayal into the sweetest revenge imaginable. If you were in her shoes, would you have done the same? Or would you have gone even further? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more real stories where karma does its job in style.